Okay, let's continue this question. We are still busy with a, in the denominator over there, we have sine. Let me highlight that for us in a different color. Let's go with orange. So I'm going to reduce that one over there. So inside the bracket, let's first consider what's inside the bracket. We have a negative theta and we have a minus 180 degrees. That's inside my bracket, right? Now we are used to having something that looks like 180 plus 180 minus. This looks a little different, so we want to see 180 plus a certain angle, or we want to see 180 minus a certain angle. And what we have above here, this part doesn't look like either of those, so we're going to do some manipulation to kind of get it to look the same as what we want, right? And the manipulation we're going to do is we're going to have to do some factorization. So we look inside this bracket over here, this bracket that we have, and we are going to take out a common factor, right? So we're factorizing, we have our bracket and we're taking out a negative. So there's a negative that's going to come out as my common factor. Now remember this, and if you don't know factorization, then revise it. But when you take out a common factor, what you are actually doing is you are dividing each term with your factor. So so inside you have the minus theta, that's going to get divided by 1 or negative 1, because negative 1's our common factor. You have a minus 180, and that's going to get divided by this minus 1. Okay, so we generally don't show that, but what I'm trying to tell you, what I'm trying to remind you of rather, is that when you're taking out this common factor, you're taking out or dividing each term with your negative 1. Okay, let's get rid of this. Let's go back here. So we have our bracket and we're going to take out our negative as a common factor. So the theta is no longer negative theta, it's going to be a positive theta. And the 180 is no longer negative 180, it's going to be positive 180. Now this is almost like something that we want, right? So we said we want it to look like this. So we're just going to rewrite what's inside my bracket. Instead of theta plus 180, both of them are positive, so I'm just going to swap the order. Okay, instead of theta plus 180, I'm going to say 180 plus theta. They're both positive, so it's not going to change anything if I just rearrange them. 180 plus theta. Okay, so let's go look at the question that we have again. We have sine minus theta minus 180. We are taking the negative out in our bracket over there, okay? But sine is still in front of all of that. Okay, so what we do have is we have sine, and then we have that negative, which is a common factor that we've taken out, and we have this something over there. Okay, we have this 180 plus theta. For now, I'm just replacing it with an alpha so that we can deal with the negative angle first, and then we'll have our solution. So what I'm saying is I have sine of a negative angle. If we don't remember negative angles, check my previous video, right, that dealt with negative angles. So sine of a negative acute angle puts us into our fourth quadrant. Negative acute, that means I go clockwise and it's going to put me over there. So now I ask myself, sine in this quadrant, positive or negative? Negative. So the question that we're dealing with, this is going to reduce to negative sine of our alpha. But remember, we don't actually have alpha. So this is going to reduce to negative sine of 180 degrees plus our theta value. Okay, so let's go back to our actual question, and we are going to insert minus sine 180 plus. Okay, so this was our actual question. And over here we have a negative sine, and inside our bracket we have 180 plus theta. Okay, all right, let's get rid of some of these things so that we can continue our question. Right, so we have done our first step finally. Right, now the numerator, the number on top, we're going to leave that the same, although maybe let's just do some cancelling out here. There's one term on top and one term at the bottom, so we are allowed to cancel. If there was two terms on top or at the bottom, we wouldn't be able to cancel. So there's one term on top, one term at the bottom. I'm going to cancel this one with that one. So on top, we still have the negative cos theta. At the bottom, we have this negative sign. There we're going to have a reduction, right? This 180 plus thing. So 180 plus, let's go back to our Cartesian plane. 180 plus, that's going to put me in my third quadrant. Okay, so the 180 plus, this part here, that is going to be in my third quadrant. So I ask myself, sine, positive or negative? And in our case, we have sine. Sine is going to be negative in our third quadrant. So this that I've highlighted here is going to produce a negative. But we also see that there's already a negative. So our two negatives are going to interact. It's a negative multiplied by another negative, and it's going to give us a positive. So in my denominator, I'm going to have a positive sine of my theta, right? And we also already know cos theta divided by sine theta, right? That looks very similar to one of our identities, our quotient identity, which is tan theta is equal to sine theta over cos theta. So this one's just the wrong way around, but we know that the inverse, or rather the reciprocal of the tan, is going to be cot. So cos over sine will give us cot of theta, negative divided by positive, so this is going to be negative, and we finally have the answer for our first question above.